Hello, I am Dewey. Today, I'm sharing a Mercedes with you all. Actros heavy truck repair video. Here. What's being transported is the truck's frame and engine. The cab is nowhere to be seen. According to this kind of impact, the cab is completely damaged. The repair location of this truck is located in the Moscow region of Russia. A repair shop in the city of Istra. They are dismantling the vehicle. The engine needs to be disassembled, because in the angle of the beginning of the video, you can also see that the truck's frame is severely twisted. Following normal logic, when a vehicle is damaged to this extent, it's basically going to be scrapped. After the scrapping process, some usable parts will be disassembled from the vehicle, such as the engine, and wheels, axles, and so on. But in today's video, it's not about looking at scrap parts. Instead, we will repair this truck. Pay attention. I use the words repair. A large part of this truck won't be replaced. Many friends will also be curious why the vehicle is damaged to this extent, and they'll still consider repairs. If it's a vehicle from their own country, then it could be at the insurance company's request. The vehicle's age is too recent, and the repair costs are relatively low. At this time, repairs can be considered. If the vehicle is imported from another country, it's bought back as scrap metal, then the price of this car at this time must be very, very low. At this time, some qualified repair shops buy this car back and repair it, can earn a considerable price difference. Here you can see the degree of distortion of the frame, as well as the degree of cracking of the frame. Some new friends, seeing the distortion of the chassis, would definitely consider whether to replace it. But for some old friends, we've previously shared about Russian repairmen and how they correct truck chassis. Even if this thing is twisted like a pretzel, as long as you're willing to spend money and effort, it can be repaired. Because in terms of repair costs, it's definitely much more favorable than replacing it. Also, if this kind of chassis is put in Pakistan, their repair methods are even simpler and more crude. They directly use a hydraulic press, and then make a chassis layer. After wrapping it inside, they make holes according to the original hole positions. While you guys watch the repair of this frame, let's talk about the Mercedes-Benz Actros. This heavy truck was launched by Mercedes-Benz in 1996 at the IAA Commercial Vehicle Show in Hanover, Germany. It's a heavy-duty truck. It's a replacement for the SK. This truck is usually used for long-distance transport, heavy-duty distribution, and construction transport. The engine I use is a straight-six diesel engine with a turbocharger, an intercooler. In '96, it was the first generation model. Then it was the second generation in '02. In '07, the third generation was launched. Then in 2011, it directly became the new Actros, which is equivalent to the fourth generation. At the time, at the auto show, the engines he launched used an inline six-cylinder engine. Later, the versions launched became V6 and V8. Engines. The engine model is OM500. V6 and V8 diesel engines. Later, when the second generation model came out, the engines were basically settled. They became OM501 and OM502. 501 represents the V6 model. 502 represents the V8 model. And when talking about Mercedes-Benz trucks, people think of bald heads. It's this kind of semi-trailer. He also has dump trucks, or some other transport vehicles. Because in our country, when it comes to the Mercedes-Benz Actros, the number of this car is very, very small. The imported trucks we can see in our country now, Scania has the most. Many logistics companies are using it. And then, Volvo for the Mercedes-Benz Actros. I think it might be rarer than seeing a sports car on the road. When I talked to you all about heavy trucks before, I told many friends that in China, many domestic heavy trucks can also reach 1,000,000 kilometers without major repairs. Many friends dismiss it, thinking it's impossible, a scam. As far as the current automotive industry development is concerned, there are basically no technical barriers. If you must say there are any barriers, it's some restrictions on patents. Our domestic cars. Why do you think this thing always breaks down? Take this kind of truck for example. If the vehicle is carrying its standard load, without overloading, many vehicles can reach 1,000,000 kilometers without major repairs. But if you overload every day, even the best car can't handle it. Then, the scene shifts here, directly to the assembly stage. Because the blogger who posted this video, he combined the whole content together. The repair of the main beam becomes very rough. It suddenly disappeared halfway through. It's repaired. If you want to see the repair of the main beam, you can watch the collection of my heavy truck repair series. There is a repair series of truck main beams in it. Many of our domestic cab-over-engine heavy trucks basically can be said to be referencing European truck designs, including some current regulations, such as this vehicle length restriction, from the front of the truck all the way to the rear of the trailer, all of which are based on European regulatory requirements. I have also talked to you about the 7 sisters of European trucks before. Or you can call them the 7 brothers, it doesn't matter. There are 7 brands. I'll briefly elaborate on them. First, Scania has the highest presence. Many friends call it the king of the road. And Scania's biggest competitor, I personally think, is Volvo. Because Volvo, whether in the cab-over-engine series, or in the conventional series, it can all stand out. Even saying that it has been competing with Scania. And in third place, is the Mercedes-Benz we are seeing being repaired today. After seeing Mercedes-Benz, one feeling stands out. Especially seeing the logo in the front is a sense of luxury. And it doesn't discredit this sense of luxury. The configuration inside the cab is indeed very reasonable, very comfortable, and it is also supported by a family gene. As for the 4th place, I think it's MAN. You could even say that 3rd and 4th place are interchangeable. As for the MAN brand, 8 words can describe it: German quality, manufacturing excellence. And in our country, there's also Schachmann. Schachmann uses a lot of MAN's technology. Schachmann's reputation is also pretty good. Then the remaining 5, 6, and 7. I think, maybe in our country, they've become very unknown. That is, DAF, Renault, and Iveco. The one with the lowest presence here, I think, is Iveco. Because Iveco does quite well in the field of small commercial vehicles. It still does pretty well. But for this kind of large semi-trailer tractor, its brand effect is indeed not as good as the previous ones. We are currently vigorously promoting air suspension domestically. But it's been several years since its introduction. Even so, many truck drivers still don't fully accept air suspension. They still think that leaf springs are better. But for these heavy truck manufacturers abroad, in terms of the use and selection of air suspension, they have been using it for many years. This has been proven to be very safe and reliable. This safety and reliability is also based on not overloading frequently. Because regarding the issue of overloading, you can't say that it doesn't exist abroad at all. They have it too, as long as you don't do it frequently. And Mercedes-Benz heavy trucks are also often used for oversized cargo transport. For those oversized cargo transport vehicles, there are also some special customizations, including their cooling systems, which are all mounted at the rear of the cab. The vehicle's power layout is a 4x2 model. Why wasn't a double rear axle used? This is also related to some route choices in Europe. It's not that they don't have 6x4 vehicles. It's just that most transport vehicles are already satisfied with 4x2. That is, 2-axle vehicles already meet the transportation requirements. There is no need to choose a larger model. because after using 6x4, the body length will be greater. Here, the engine is being assembled. Vixen is not in this video, and it is not shown whether the engine has been repaired. And for this vehicle series, there is not much detailed explanation either, so I won't elaborate too much. What horsepower is this engine? There is no data to support it. I personally feel that this engine should not have been repaired at all. That is, there was a visual inspection for cracks. Are there any broken engine mounts? Or broken parts? Because the impact point of this car is very interesting. It's not that it was impacted from the front of the car. Instead, it's severely twisted in the middle. It is very likely that the side of the vehicle body was hit. This is the cooling system. It includes the air conditioning condenser and the engine's water tank radiator. At the same time, there's also the intercooler. It's very easy to buy used parts for this kind of thing, because when a vehicle is hit, the most severely damaged area is the front end. The most severely damaged area is this whole cooling system. And if there is a slight deformation in this area, you won't notice it. Only after assembling the vehicle will you discover pressure inside. Then where coolant is leaking frantically. This is a very, very frustrating process. You still need to take this whole thing apart again. As for the coolant you added, if you're an individual, it's probably wasted, and add another batch of new coolant. But as for a repair shop, it might be filtered and reused. This will also cause some waste. What kind of high-tech system is this? You can guess. And this is the truck seat. The other day when I was coming home, I met two brand new Sinotruk trucks on the road. Those trucks had already modified their exhaust to the upper part of the cab. That is, behind the exhaust treatment system. The exhaust wasn't blowing towards the ground. It was guided through the exhaust pipe, all the way to the upper end of the cab. When I saw that truck, I felt this truck finally had a bit of a masculine vibe. It wasn't so reserved. This is where the fuel tank is installed. When I talked about American trucks with you all before, many friends kept asking, is there a fuel theft industry in the US? Anyway, I've previously, with a brother who drives in the US, including when chatting with an older Beijing, what they explained was that there isn't a fuel theft industry, because after you steal the fuel, there is nowhere to sell it. Many of their drivers have gas station fuel cards, which come with discounts. They also accumulate points, which can be exchanged for food, including shower tickets and the like. So, the sale of stolen fuel is prevented at its source. However, they also have losses of truck tires and batteries. That also gets stolen. People steal these things. Just like I saw in the news before. Someone steals the catalytic converters. Isn't it that it's not a crime if it's under $900? Then after I steal this thing, I'll sell it at a very low price. These things can be cashed out quickly. Here we are going to install the cab. Although the model of this cab is written as 1845. But I'm not sure if this is the original one, or it's a spare part. That is, the same model as the original car, because this kind of mark can be changed at any time. Here, I also hope that friends who like the video can like and comment more. At the same time, I hope that those who haven't subscribed can subscribe. As for the cab of a flat front truck, many friends are concerned about its safety. In some aspects, the safety of flat front cabs is not as good as that of conventional cabs. But for the driver's perspective of flat front trucks, including the turning radius it needs, they are the types of trucks needed for some special road sections, and for some safety settings of flat front trucks, including moving the cab backward. These technologies also exist, so it can effectively ensure safety. When you're driving a heavy truck, pulling 40 tons of cargo, at a speed of 90 kilometers per hour. If a collision occurs at this time, regardless of the type of vehicle, basically, the harm to the driver is the same. So, everything is still based on safe driving. The vehicle has a 4-step boarding ladder. Setting up such a high boarding ladder is also to ensure a flat cab. This way, the driver, when driving, including during daily rest, will be more comfortable in the cab. However, compared to conventional trucks, the biggest flaw of this flat front truck is that the cab's rest area is not enough, no matter how you adjust it. How to optimize its cab space is only that big. What is installing here is a series of air deflectors, because when this car was launched from the first generation model, when you're willing to pay extra, the side skirts of the vehicle are located near the fuel tank, including the location of the after-treatment system. You can add side skirts on both sides, and further save fuel. But all of this requires spending a lot of money. So, when many car enthusiasts buy a car, they don't spend this part of the money. They burn more fuel, because buying a car basically empties them out. Or, they take out a loan to buy the car. After all, fuel consumption is a cumulative process. It's not something that can be consumed all at once. I won't chat with you all much more later. I hope friends who like the video remember to like it, follow and comment. There's a little more content later. Let's take a look at the process of this car's test drive on the road.